You're listening to the Hunt Stealth Podcast with Ryan Uffens, the podcast where we dive headfirst into the wild. Whether you're an aspiring hunter or an adventurer seeking the untamed, together we'll explore the strategies and stories that lead to success in the great outdoors.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Hunt Stealth Podcast. I am your host, Ryan Uffens. In this episode, I sit down and chat with Marlon Holden, aka the Gray Light Hunter on his social handles. The guy is an absolute stud and a killer of mule deer. Anyway, hope you guys enjoy the show. I tried to help some guys out, and I'm like, hey, if you go up there, go with you and one or two of your guys, and the next thing you know, the guy's up there with 8 guys on the side of the mountain. It's bonkers, but anyway,
it does. It hurts a little bit. I mean, it's really at the end of the day, if you find something special, it becomes sacred. And I think it becomes sacred because like you legitimately put a lot of work in to figure it out. And then you want other people, like if I see somebody else up there, I'm like, high five, dude. Like, badass, you found it. Like, you're here. Let's, and I'm pretty open at that point. But when it's just like, where you at? What state? How do you get these tags? I'm like,
pound salt.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, where I same guy I was talking about, he gave me a location, and I went up there and just like beat the living snot out of myself. And over like the 3-4, I think I was up there 4 days total. Like I saw one other hunter up there, and it was like you kind of have it to yourself, but I just could never get into position on any of the mule deers that I was chasing, and saw some elk. But yeah, it's I get why like you said, it can be sacred, because it's you beat yourself up. Like I was looking at one of your videos up there, like 13,000 feet of that mule deer that you shot, and you had like the hail coming in on you. Just that's wild. I mean, that's.
I mean, I think we're as men, that's something's real important to me. Is like I think that we can all agree. In a very big way, like our culture has gone so soft, and I think that men are meant to do hard things. If you have multiple generations of men that just aren't doing anything hard, you end up with a bunch of soft people that can't fight, can't survive, can't get their own food. Like everything just turns into almost a work to buy, to basically an oppressed society that is reliant on so many other cogs in a wheel to be able to survive. And I love the element of being able to go out there and quite literally do things that our mind is saying, just stop, like go home, like quit. I mean, I can't even tell you like how many times, you get up into these places, and not the first few days. The first few days you're like, gung-ho and everything's good. But you start getting into these longer grinds, or 10, 12, 14, 18 days. You're like, what in the heck am I doing? Like, I just want to go home and relax. And then you get home and then you're like, what am I doing here? Like, I can't wait to be on the mountain. There's this juxtaposition of Jekyll and Hyde's always on your shoulders. And I believe in my heart that just as men, we're supposed to do hard things. We're supposed to challenge ourselves to do things we don't want to do.
Well,
That's a big reason why I love it.
You look at the response from, you don't have to comment on this, I will, but like Pete Hegseth, like when he addressed the generals, like I've seen comments online. It's like, I can't believe he do that. That's ridiculous. It's sickening. And I'm going, for setting a standard, like for saying like, hey, we're going to hold, those in leadership in the military to a higher standard. And it's like, I kind of always thought that was always happening, but some of the comments in that I've seen, I had found this video of, it was the speech that he gave, but they had turned it into like those AI babies. And it was to me, like, I thought it was hilarious. And so I had shared it, and like the people on the left were coming out of the woodwork, like disgusted in it. And I'm going, it is, I don't. Yeah. Anyway, like I said, I don't expect you to comment on that, but we definitely live in a time where people are soft, and I was one of those people that was like soft, right? Like before I got into this 5 years ago. I mean, I'm in entirely different shape and having, and I haven't gotten anywhere near the time that you guys are spending, like 15, 18, 20 days. Like my max has been 4 days that I've been out trying to get it done. I just I'm looking to get to that point where I'm unemployable, like you had mentioned before. But I get out there, and yeah, I mean, for me, even after day two, but I mean, I think we did over 4 days. We had done, I mean, I don't know, close to probably like 35 miles. I mean, we were grinding out there, just trying to figure it out. But that was the longest I'd
Yep.
ever spent out there trying to get it done. And so these guys like you that are able to go out and make that like a lifelong passion and a pursuit that you're able to do. I mean, that's, I think for a lot of guys, that's the end game, but whatever people are able to do is what they're able to do. And got to go out there and just try
So
and figure out a way to get it done.
I'll back up a little bit, right? I'll dox myself. I'm 47, just turned 47 in September. Um, I started hunting when I was 28, and I had no idea really about it, like, how it's done out west. I mean, I did subsistence stuff, snaring, lots of spearfishing and whatnot when I sailed around the world on a sailboat when I was a kid. But the whole idea of bow hunting out west as a form of let's get meat for the freezer and hey, you get, some cool antlers for the wall, was a new thing for me. So I was a boat captain. I ran these 50, 60, 70-foot private sport fishing yachts for guys. And all these guys obviously have money because these boats are anywhere between $3 to $8 million each. And so by getting that type of a job, I was able to, you spend a lot of time with the owners. And granted, a lot of time, you're the one fixing the water maker, changing the fuel filters on the primary and the secondary. If something goes wrong, you're in rough seas, and you got a bad batch of fuel and you're in Mexico, and there's just so many different things that go on boats that you have to work through. So you're kind of like the guy that fixes everything. You're MacGyver, but you don't have a Home Depot or a parts store nearby. Like I've broken down more 16V and 12V92 Detroits and Cats and 3208 Cats and Cummins, and like I've re-sleeved engines, dropped the main bearings, pan adapters, and like I've done all of that from the bottom up, cleaning toilets and then getting all cleaned up and then going in and then making hors d'oeuvre platters for the boss and the wife and the guests. It's like I've been through the gambit of being told when I can go, what time I can go, and how much time I can have. And early enough on, I decided, okay, this isn't the path. It's not giving me the freedom that I desire to pursue some dreams. And so I just decided to, make those were changes, deliberate changes that occurred over the last 20 years to kind of shape my life. Like by no means have I made it. I don't, I don't want anybody to think that I'm just some multi-millionaire sitting on fat piles of cash, like not doing shit. We do really well and we live really well, but we work super, super hard. And it's a compromise between my team and my family to say, okay, are you guys going to be okay while I'm gone? And making sure that business is rolling along and everything's taken care of while I'm gone. Then I leave. But there was some deliberate steps that were intentionally taken and put into action, not just like there's a lot of dream works. I mean, I see and hear and get so many direct messages of guys saying, one day my dream is too. The sad part about it is that, I've seen a lot of the same messages for years, some of them over decades of time. And, we live but once, right? Like we have one opportunity, and unfortunately, as we age, like let's say for example, knock on wood, right? Let's say for example, I am lucky enough to get 25 more years of this stuff. I don't know, but like 47 plus 25, I mean, Like, I don't know how much of a savage you're going to be at that point. I got a limited number of Septembers, for example. I can't just work real hard, have a bunch of money, and decide I'm going to do this at 65. It's not going to work. So if I want to be able to have good knees and a strong back and put some intention behind really like looking back on my life and living without any regret, there were deliberate, decisive moments in time where I said, like, truly, fuck this, and changing the narrative of life. And and granted, the needle may not be like, I might not be the owner or CEO of a Fortune 100 company, right? But the needle has moved in a way that if I want to take September off or November and all of January, like, I'm out. And to me, that's enough for now. And we're going to continue to move the needle, developing technology, developing apparel, continuing to move the needle on my current brands in the marketplace to move the way that the trajectory of life is going to go. But I think that everything is just choices, and I've you know been blessed. I mean, everything, I owe everything to God, that He says that this is a life that I'm going to allow you to pursue. Because without Him, none of this is possible. So I give all the glory to God, and just work out hard and leave it all on the field.
There's I think there's a mindset. So when you say you're an old man and then you told me your age, I'm like, all right, well, you're a year older than me. So you're not that old of a man. But like I said, like you started when you said you were 28 is when you kind of started doing like more of the big game, like chasing
Yeah.
the big game. So like, I mean, for me, I had grown up, I've worked in corporate America for a long time, and I mean, I coached my kids stuff, and I don't regret that for me. But I didn't have any. There was nobody in my family that hunted.
Hmm.
So, I owe the credit to my son who's 25. He'll be 25 in December, but
That's
he
awesome.
he wanted to hunt. I mean, I coached him in baseball, he played basketball, golf, all that other stuff. But he was like, "Dad, like he's like, I want to hunt." And so he went down, and at the time, I didn't have an excess of money. Still don't have an excess of money, but he's like, "I want to buy a bow." And I'm like, "I okay, great." So after when he graduated high school, he started working in roofing, and after he went and got himself a truck and saved up, and then went and bought him a bow, and he had told me, he's like, "Hey, let's go hunt." And I'm like, man, like I don't know. And I'm like, I tell you what, let's put in, if we draw out the same unit, I'll go buy a bow. So I'm thinking like I'm off the hook, right? Like likelihood of us both drawing like the same tag. So I remember we were out on the boat and up at Bear Lake. We're sitting there and I pull out my phone and the emails come through, and I'm like, "You drew." I don't even remember what unit it was, but anyway, I'm like, "Hey, did you get your draw?" He pulls it up. Anyway, it was the same unit, and I'm like, "Shit, I got to go buy me a bow." So I went down to Wild Arrow, which is not too far from my house, and I bought me a bow, and I drew it back and shot it for the first time, and I was like, I have been missing out.
Mm.
I was like immediately hooked. And so I've like got into it, like I'm like way more into it than him. Now he's been married for, a year and a half now, so he's doing that thing. But my kids are growing. Like I started having kids young, and my baby is living up in Logan, going she's up at Utah State and that. And my wife was like, she's like, you need to figure out a hobby, and you got to do something. So fortunately, 5 years ago, like after I got started into it, she was like, yeah, like go do your thing. Still have obligations and work stuff, and but I am taking the steps to work to the goal, because like you, like I know, like one, I'm still learning, and two, I know that I only have a limited number of hunts that I'm going to be able to go out and do that. But the fun thing for me, like you had mentioned, like you start changing your body, it gives you something to
Hmm.
strive towards. So that I was proud of myself on the mountain. I might not go fast, but I can keep going. Like it's like, hey, let's find that ridge and let's just keep pushing up and see what we can find. And so I'm proud. I feel this year was the first year that I've been out, and I gave myself like a real honest effort to try and get it done in the time that I had. And I'm going to go out on the extended and keep looking, and see what we can do to try and figure it out. But I do think I think it's admirable that somebody, at a younger age decides like, hey, I'm going to do this, and this is I'm going to make it possible so that when I leave, like I know my family's taken care of, and that they can get done what they need to be done, so I can go for a week or two. I'm working towards that, so
Yep.
it's a goal of mine, and I think there's a lot of people that have these dreams, um, and I don't look down on them, but it's kind of like the how bad do you want it? Because there's sacrifice that has to be made. Like guys look at what you're able to
Yep.
go out and do, and it's the old, the Cam Hanes like must be nice, right? Well,
Yeah.
how bad do you want it? Because I was listening to a podcast this morning, and it's like, why not me? Like you can do anything you want to do if you just decide that that's what I'm going to do, and you put your mind to it, and you can create a path to go out and be able to do that. So I think it's awesome that you've put yourself in a position to be able to be successful both at home and be able to step away and go out and get a hunt done that you want to do.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. We're capable of uh, doing exactly what it is that we want to do. The power of self-belief, manifestation, the power of believing in others, handing the torch to others to help you, being able to delegate are all important things. Like I think as men, oftentimes we tell ourselves, we're an army of one. Like I have to do it. I have to get this done. I have to. But in reality, there's a lot of really great people behind the scenes that help make everything possible. Like without them, I couldn't do any of it. So I'm like kind of getting to a place where I'm just grateful, continuing to work hard and yeah, lots of sacrifice and pressing. I push the needle, right? I definitely. I mean, you can't take off 18 days or 26 days or 31 days without stuff starting to buckle at the seams, at home. Like, just doesn't matter what it is. I mean, it can be as small as needing to meet with a CPA and deal with like sales tax and go through your waterfall reports and make sure that like everybody's fulfillment and all the logistics and everything is it can be just managerial stuff, but at the end of the day, like after a month you really need to get home and take care of some stuff, not to mention you miss your family. But I definitely believe that if there's something in this life that you want, like you said, it's how bad do you want it. I can't even tell you how many hate messages I get. Um, it's almost sad and pathetic how many messages I get. I'm a man. I'm flesh and blood. I'm nobody special. I work hard. I get messages like, must be nice to be able to go out and buy tags. That whole must be nice thing is just unbelievable. It's like, yeah, I mean, it is nice. You're right. It's nice to be able to go out and get a tag. But you're also, not you, but the people that are talking about this, you aren't making the steps or taking the steps in your life to put yourself in a position to be able to do that. And until you do, it's not nice. It was work. And there's so much of that goes on. It's a real kind of like shallow thing where I wish the best for everyone. I want everybody to win. And the thing is, it's kind of funny, like even in my photography business, a gallery in Laguna Beach, I encourage people all the time. People come in here, how did you do this? That's a whole nother thing. Like just as much as people sit there and think, for whatever reason, what I do in hunting is cool. Like people do that in the photography thing. How do you open up a business in photography, and how do you have a studio in Laguna, and how good, how well do you do? And they ask me all this stuff, and I'm like, there's a space right over there. Like, go get a personal loan from Discover Personal Loans. max out your credit cards, ask your family for, as much as they can help you with. Go ask your friends, like whoever you can to leverage for a little bit, like whatever you can, scratch it all up and start. Just go all in. Like, don't say, oh, what if? Yeah, there's a lot of what ifs, but what if you don't? So just go all in and give it a shot. Worst case scenario, you go back to the job that you have that sucks. Like, just do it and then figure it out. And I mean, honestly, that's what I do with almost every business that I've started is like, just do it and figure it out. There's never enough money. There's never enough time. The product is never perfect. Like, dude, there's iterations of stuff that comes out. Like the frames are all messed up. The adhesive that puts your, acrylic onto your recess mounts will pop off. You'll have a 3 to 5% rejection ratio, and you got to figure out how to vet that out and find out what activators to use. And no product's ever perfect. You got to get it right, stand by your work hard, do the right thing, and just persevere. And I think that those people that say these things, they simply aren't willing to start to begin with, and they don't have an idea to offer something of value to people, so they won't even do anything except for complain about where they are in life. And I don't subscribe to that. I don't
Yeah.
think that that's a way to live. I think that we all should do the best we can to like push each other up, work hard. There's plenty of room for everyone. There really is. That's the other thing is I don't believe in competition. Like everyone has an opportunity to stand out. I'm not jealous of anyone in this world. We have an opportunity to truly make our lives what we want. Like there's people that are doing way better than I am. It's like
If
I want
if
to
you
learn
if
from
you
them.
have a scarcity mindset, like you will live a life that is scarce and that is
Mm.
lacking, and you're always going to be desiring, and kind of like what you had mentioned, like I'm of the mindset, like I have an abundant mindset to where it's just like I just assume that everything's going to work out. Like,
Yep.
you hear I mean, and the thing is it is a lot of what you surround yourself with. If you have a victim mindset and you're just looking at like, oh man, well, man, would that be nice? Well, figure it out. And rather than saying, I mean, there's the scarcity mindset, which is why me, and then there's the abundant mindset, which is what we was talking about earlier, is like, why not me?
Yeah.
It's you are the only person that can stop yourself from having success. And I get it. I mean, I run a couple businesses, and fortunately I'm getting things set up to where I'm going to be able to go out and spend a little bit more time doing the things that I love. But I people are like, do you want to go golf? And I'm like, no. Like, my golf clubs are in the storage unit now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it. It's a time suck for me. I'm like, I would rather I would rather go shoot my bow. I would rather go up the side of the mountain, do some scouting. If I'm going to take half a day, there's places near my house that I could go up and start. The extended's going on right now. I'm going to go do that. And
Yep.
people are like, well, I'm like, I hate golf. I hate golf now. Like, I don't like it. People are like, hey, we've got this golf tournament come up. And I'm like, you go. Like, my guys at work, I'm like, you go take so and so. Like, I'm not going. And I'll make time for the relationship stuff. Like, take somebody to dinner, go do that, if it's work related things. But I don't know. It's I can't stand the mindset of it's interesting that there are people that want to root for other people to fail rather than succeed. And that is the one thing that I kind of that I've discovered is there's this kind of like seething underbelly in, like, not necessarily the hunting industry, but the hunting space, where there's people that just come out of the woodworks to just like hate on people. Like, I've had guys message me and they're like, how, like, you haven't even, like, you've just started hunting 5 years ago, how are you getting people like this on your podcast? I'm like, I ask and I just assume everybody's going to say, yeah, I'd love to come on. I've had people tell me to pound salt. I've had people not respond. um but I'm just like, why would somebody not want to come on the podcast and have a conversation about something that they enjoy doing? And yeah, so I guess that's part of what just makes people successful just in life, is just like, you just have to decide, like, this is what I'm going to do, and then be willing to make the sacrifices to where it's like I said, like, I haven't touched my golf clubs in over 2 years, and I don't miss it. I don't miss it at all. I would much
Well,
rather go out and shoot
once you
my bow.
find mule deer and elk, golf clubs get pretty boring.
Yeah, I almost gave
Yeah.
them away. I my
I think
my
that's the next step. Do a giveaway. Some
yeah.
golf club giveaway. We can do it a thing. Hashtag golf club giveaway. You know, pick up
Uh-huh.
bow hunting. Yeah.
Seriously. Well, that's where I'm at. I love it. I mean, I don't know. I did, when I decided, I'm like, I'm gonna hunt, and we decided it was gonna be archery, and I told myself I'm not gonna hunt with a rifle until I shoot something with my bow. And like I said, that's been 5 years, and now I'm going, like, I'm gonna figure it out, and I'm never gonna go shoot something with a rifle. I don't know that that's never ever gonna happen, because like you said, as you start to age, if you want to get out there, rifle makes it a little bit easier to get the job done. But man, I absolutely love archery. I love the beating that it takes on my body. Like I said, we went out, did over 30 miles in, I think it was 4 days, and it was I mean, between 8 and 10,000 feet of elevation. So like, you're feeling it. And I was just, when we were done, I'm like, I am ready to get home. We came back, and Dustin, who had reached out and helped set this up, the next morning I text him, and I'm like, dude, I hate this. Like, there's one other place. It was the last day of general season for our elk tags that we had, and I'm like, we have that place that's like an hour away. I'm like, do you want to go? He's like, yeah. He's like, all right, meet me at the Maverick at 3 a.m. So like, we came back, we were done, we were ready to take like a break for a week, and it was like, we had to go back out. And that day we did 10.2 miles by 9 a.m. Like, we went out there, and we had elk that were talking to us. They would come in and then they'd go away. We chased them all over the mountain, and it was miserable, but I also just absolutely loved it. I loved, like, that grind. It's like, I'm trying to get it done. So I don't know. Like, how do you, how do you kind of, how do you physically prepare somebody who's closer to me in age, and like keep yourself like ready to be able to go out there and put in the work at elevation like that? Because like I said, I was looking at that video you posted in the hailstorm at like 13,000 feet of elevation. Like, it's like, that's not easy. That's not easy for people to go and do.
Um, the hailstorm was I shot that buck, and it just, had been kind of messed up all day. Thunder, lightning, rain, hail, sleet, just all the above. I love that stuff personally. I think it's just fun. I think it's really just cool. It it tests you. It tests you in ways of, like you said, how bad do you want it? And then how much do you love this? Inversely, I just did a piece for Eastman's blog about mountain safety in the backcountry. Those two boys that got hit. Unfortunately, like, for them, exposure is something that will kill you. And so I wrote a piece recently about exposure, but how do I prepare is more of a, I don't want to stop going up into the mountains, and I will literally physically kill myself in ways of training, so that way I don't get up there and quit. Um, I mean, I like to lift a lot, and I like to lift pretty heavy, for my age. I get after it pretty hard. And so I train with weights in the gym 5 days a week. And then I put a 40 to, it depends on the day, but I'll put like a 40 to 70 pound sandbag on my shoulders, and I'll just do the stair climber for anywhere between 35 to 45 minutes. Um, and I'm like you, I'm not fast, but I won't quit. Like, my longest days are usually around, I think I start, I start to gas out, right? If I'm not I don't properly feed myself when I'm in the mountains. I'm kind of like a nut job. I'll just go all in for the day, and then at night I need to eat something, like
Mhm.
cheeseburger or something big. But um like 17, 18 miles is kind of like, my long day. My average day is anywhere between 10 to 12, and I live at darn near sea level. Like, I'm in Laguna Beach. So it's just straight to it. And the deer live at 13. They live at 12.5. Some live at 12.5. But most of the deer are between 12.5 to 13.4. And I do a lot of scouting at 13.7, 13.6, 13.8. Um, and I'll come from sea level, and the next morning, like, I will do a 2,500 foot traverse and do 5 or 6 miles. And it's so painful, it kicks my butt. It's the squeeze on your head, right? It's the edema, it's shortness of breath. Up to 11,000 feet, my my lungs will go forever, and my muscles will gas out before my lungs will. But above 11,000 feet, your lungs will gas out before your muscles will.
I haven't even
Um,
experienced anything like that yet. I mean, as
it's
far as like
fun.
over 11,000 feet, like,
Yeah, it's a total different ball game. Like, when people say high country and they still are in the pine trees, no. It's like, high country to me starts where the elevation starts to really rock you physically, and it rocks you hard. Right when you hit 12, it rocks you hard. You're like, it kind of like shakes your world, because everything changes. The oxygen absorption in your blood, you need a solid 4 to 6 days for your blood cells to multiply enough to be able to handle that, because you're basically going from, let's say you live at 4 to 5,000 feet and you go to 12. uh, your body's basically being deprived of half of its normal oxygen absorption. So let's say if you operate it on any given day at 97, 98% oxygen levels, when you go up there, you're probably, your lungs are working just fine. You'll probably be operating in that mid 80s range. And then if you do have altitude sickness or edema or other issues, you can get into the 70s, and that's critical. That's like, you get into the 70s and stay there, that's life threatening. Um, and some people don't have any issue with it at all, but that ratio is super small. I mean, that's a micro ratio of the population. I would say by large, 80% of the population has significant challenges at altitude. So you need to have that like 4 to 6 days of acclimation. I give myself 4 days, and I just scout the living daylights, and I'll make sure that I slide back down to 7,500, 8,500 feet for the nighttime, get a
mhm.
good night's rest. And I won't stay up high. Like, that's the biggest thing that you can do to really thwart your chances of having success is, I'm going to muscle it out and stay up high. You're actually really hampering your opportunity. You need to cover the miles, drop the elevation, and get that good sound 6 hours of rest. If you can get a good sound 6 hours of rest at night, even if you go to bed at midnight, that's okay. You need that 6 hours with good oxygen levels, get your heart, lungs, blood, your circulatory system happy, and then you can grind it again for another, full day, and then come back down. You do that 4 or 5 repetitions over a 4 or 5 day period. Come opener, you'll feel pretty good. Not great, but you'll feel pretty good. And then, by about 8 days, 10 days in, you're pretty much steaming around like a little bit of a monster. You're just a whole different person. Your body has compensated for it, and now you're in a different mindset. You're used to the traverses, you're used to the miles. I think if we're doing 8 to 14 miles a day and 2,500 feet to 3,000 feet of elevation is pretty standard. They're messed up days, and most people want to camp. A lot of guys want to go in and camp. They want to set up camp and they want to stay there, right? But the thing is that a lot of these ranges, the basins are not connected. Um, so you have to like go all the way down a drainage and come out before you can like go back up another drainage. And so doing the backpack thing in some of these areas is not conducive. It's better to have like a base camp down low. Get a wall tent, get a 4 man tent with a big vestibule, put all your stuff in it, and I found that that's like a better way for me to roll is just have a base camp and go out from the base camp every day. I don't care how far it is. Like you can get into any country in 14 miles pretty much.
Right.
Um, but being able to rest at like that 8 to 9,000 foot level and have like burgers or like green beans or, something that's like real food to cook,
Yeah.
your body just the way that it operates for me, I'd rather take on the extra 6 to 8 miles a day. Like, fine with it. I don't, I'd rather eat good food, have good quality sleep, low elevation, and hammer hard up high than go in and operate. And I understand that there's some areas you can't go back in and out of. Like there's some wilderness areas, for example, up in Wyoming that are 8, 9, 12 miles in. You need to stay back there.
Right.
But there's some areas that are, all throughout the lower 48, you really don't need to. You just suck it up, do the elevation, but with the proper nutrition and good rest cycles, you can really hammer harder, I think. I know that there's a lot of trains of thoughts on that, but long story short, yeah, I do demand a lot from myself. I'm a 6'2" frame, and I carry myself, or on average, I'm around 250 pounds. So I'm probably on the bigger side of most mountain hunters. Most mountain hunters, I think, are probably smaller and leaner. Um, but that's just my frame. And I work out really hard in order to do it.
250 is no joke to be hauling around the mountain, man. That's because I'm 6'2". Most guys I see up there that I'm with, when I bump into people, they're smaller and leaner, and they just have like engines that can go. I mean, I'm
Mhm.
225, so you've still got 25 pounds on me, but I feel it.
I've got legs like freaking tree trunks. My calves are freaking huge. Um, and I always do a lot of cardio to like trim down so I'm fairly lean. Actually, believe it or not, a lot of guys. So I try and stay leaner throughout the year, and then I'll pack on an extra 10 to 15 pounds before my hunts because I know I'm going to burn it off in a calorie deficit. So, generally speaking, I'll kind of be healthy all through the year, eat super, super clean. Like we're talking the broccoli chicken diet,
Yeah.
where you're not even eating for pleasure, you're just eating to feed. And so we eat like that pretty much all year. And then, during hunting season, like the diet kind of takes a side seat a little bit, and I just eat whatever and just keep hitting the gym. But I try and stay in a place where the mountain will always humble me, but I no matter how slow it is, I'll always get up it kind of deal. So I just always want to be in a place where I'm not saying, oh gosh, I have to go up there. Geez, I guess I can't do this. And so long as I'm able to do that, I'm pretty happy. And you know, I don't do TRT. I don't do injectables. I don't do peptides. I don't do anything. I don't even do creatine. Like I am um, I'll do some, um, electrolytes. I like to do honey and salt.
Yeah.
Um, like I'm not a guy that likes to pop pills or take stuff. I just don't. It's not interesting to me. So
Well, if you eat right, you don't have to.
yeah,
I think that's the other thing, but a lot of people don't have that discipline. And I mean, my diet has been like my biggest nemesis in trying to like drop my body fat and that. So every hunting season since I've started, I've gone into it with some extra pounds on me. So I
yeah,
always I always come back a little bit leaner, but um yeah, I think it really boils down to, like you said, like you just have to decide what you want to do. And it's like some people live to hunt, some people want to hunt and they want to do it, And it's like there's some guys out there that are just savages. Like, I mean, like you, like you're just willing to go out there and put in the work and figure out a way to get it done. What is your favorite big game animal to hunt?
A mule deer by far. I
Mule
I
deer.
mean, if I'm being fair, you can't find anything but mule deer on me. If you Google or look, or it's all mule deer.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of them it is, but it's probably in the neighborhood of north of 70 of them at this point with a bow. Um, and then just this past September, I killed my first elk just for the fun of it.
Just
Um,
just to show
I
you could
picked up
do
a
it.
kind of pretty much like I'd been on a few elk hunts. I packed them off the mountain. I'm like, holy crap, this is work. Why does anybody do this? But then my buddy Andy, he's killed a couple of them, and he's like, dude, you should really do it. And I'm like, I know I should, but like mule deer are more fun. And so I said, screw it. I put in for the elk tag. It wasn't a good unit. Got the tag, and I told myself, if you finish the deer hunt and you have any time, then give it a shot. So that's what I did. Hunted real hard for deer, and spent most of the trip hunting deer. And I had like 2.5 days left at the end of the hunt, and I really wanted to go home, to be honest. I think it was like 18 days in or some crap like that. It was something, and I'm like, I think I want to go home, but I'm like, all right, you got this tag. Don't pay the non-resident fees and all that, and not use it, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I went out there. I went the first day. I went with my buddy, and we uh, called in some raghorns and had a lot of fun and chased a couple of small bulls around. And then the next day we separated, and I had seen some elk up in this basin the day prior, and funny enough, I was making observations of all these guys like myself that would be absolutely horrific at calling. And I'm listening to these guys in the trees, like I'm up above timber looking down, going, oh my God, they sound horrible. Like I'm sitting here going, you do not sound like a bull elk. And why are you challenging this bull when you're 2,000 feet below and this thing's up here with a herd of 30 cows? Like, what are you doing? You know, just my mind in my head, I'm sitting here kind of understanding because I listen to elk every year. I hear them. I'm always around them. They're not the smartest of creatures. I mean, sure, the bigger ones, the older ones, behave differently. Um, and I think that the smarter older bulls are much wiser when it comes to what sounds you can get away with and what sounds they're interested in and when. Whereas the younger ones are kind of a little bit more like, oh, hey, what's that? Let's check it out, you
Yeah.
know? So you end up calling in a lot of younger bulls. Those 3 to 5 year old bulls kind of seem to run in pretty easy, but the older ones always hold up and hold back. And unless you're speaking their language, unless you're really, you know, if they have cows and it's a big herd bull, like you're not gonna, unless you're like in his living room and you're kind of like saying, hey, guess what? I have one of your hot cows and I'm over here freaking getting it done and she's hot and you're over there messing off and you just rip a fat like challenge bugle or something off, you know, then he might come run over to kick your ass. But
Hmm.
to from what I observed, listening to guys challenge bulls from like even 500 yards out is pretty comical. Like they round up their cows quietly, like, and they're like, let's go, get. And you know, they move out and they'll
Yeah.
bugle, of course, but the bugle's going away. And there's just a lot of mistakes. I think that it's more important to not just learn how to talk, not just learn how to make the noises that elk make, but like really kind of tune into like why are they making it? When are they making it? What is that sound? What does that sound mean? And then listen to them use it and see what they're doing when they're using it, and then be appropriate in your actions and learn how to make that sound. And don't make anything until you learn how to make that sound properly. And of course, you can, you know, run down the freeway going 70, sounding like a jackass all you want, and that's the perfect time to do it. But like, I definitely noticed that, um, you know, people, I think, and I'm no expert, right? I'm going to say that like full disclosure, I'm no expert on elk. But I have a really good idea that you guys are going to see a lot more bulls dying, and there's going to be some big ones that die. And I'm going to be very confident in saying that I'm going to kill a lot of big elk, and it just is what it is. They're not overly smart. I think once you master hunting muleys with a bow, the elk are just going to die. And the patience game and understanding how to flank a herd and understanding what you can and can't get away with, I think those are much more important things to master. But mule deer are what I love. They're my first love. They'll always be my first love. I love how big bucks think different. They're such solitary type animals, and I love how they I really love how if they decide to position themselves with other deer, they're utilizing those other deer as sentries to stand guard, not because they want to be around them. Big bucks are, and I don't necessarily mean antler size, but just a mature animal.
Sure.
They just operate differently, and I love the way they operate. They're a lot like, an old man. They're just very smart. They don't say much. They observe a lot. They talk very little. They have wise things to say when they say them. Like an old buck is a lot that way, and I just love being on the mountain with them.
That's awesome. How did you like do you remember like your first mule deer that you shot? Like where like
Oh
what
yeah.
it was like? I mean, I mean, tell me about that, because that clearly had to have been something that probably like got you just to like fall in love with hunting these animals.
Um, I never picked up a gun once. It never interested me. I loved the idea that you could fling this arrow with razor blades on it, across a certain distance and like take it out. I just thought that that was just there was a level of mastery that was required, a level of skill and dedication that was required. That's what I think captivated me first. And then the mountains you see. I think I went into a Turner's Outdoors. It's a small shop that sells all kinds of stuff across the board, whether it's hunting, fishing, you name it, in Southern California. And there was a magazine in there. It was called Bowhunt America. It's an older publication, and I don't think they're around anymore. At least I haven't seen them in a long time. But I saw a photo. Let me give a little shout out to my boy Mark Smith. I saw a photo of Mark Smith with a high country velvet clad mule deer and just these big mountains, on the rack. And he's like, and I'm like, that is freaking cool. And I was running these fishing boats, I was doing tournaments and stuff like that. So I hunted, but I hunted on the water. I was looking for conditions, looking for temperature, current breaks, bait, sign on the ocean. So it translated really well. But when I saw that, uh, I just kind of like went all in. I just said, what do I need? Like, let's do it. Backpack, boots, freaking. I think I probably spent like $7,000 that day. I just went and I bought everything all at once, and I knew nothing about any of it. And I got it all, and I got it all set up, and it was aluminum arrows, and yeah, it was. I mean, to me, it was like the coolest thing in the world. So I jumped in, feet first. My first year, I arrowed 4 bucks. Um, all public land. It was all over the counter back then. Like everything was you could get so many different things over the counter back then. Things are significantly different now. But yeah, I pretty much never slowed down. I think the only thing that changed for me was that, like the age class, like I ended up wanting to hunt smarter animals, stuff that, like up until about 4.5 years old, most of the time deer kind of they don't stand around, but they let you get away with a lot more. And like a deer that's older, I don't even know if I want to put an age on it, but like 6.5, 7.5, 8.5, like they just get smarter and smarter and smarter, and they don't let you get away with much of anything at all. As a matter of fact, if you mess up on your stalk, the chances are, you may or may not see that deer again. So I like that level of self-discipline and understanding what you can get away with, and what you can't get away with, and measuring your assertiveness on a stock, because you must be self-assured and very confident that it's going to happen. Because if you don't speak that, like we were talking about work earlier, you
Mhm.
have to like speak it into existence. If you don't speak it into existence before the stock even happens, your likelihood of coming out airing that animal is probably pretty slim. So you have to like really kind of put the cogs or the wheels in motion to see that success happen and visualize it before it happens. And I love doing that on mature animals because they're so much smarter. So the only thing that's really changed from then to now is probably the fact that I really enjoy pursuing animals that are much older because they will tolerate way less. And it demands a lot more of my focus and skill set. Like they'll bed in horrific places where you're just like, okay, that's the only route, but that route right there could potentially get me killed. For whatever reason, I like that. You know,
You're like,
so
I'm doing it.
I'm doing it. Yeah, I went down a route this year. To be honest, like I, you have to tell yourself what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do, and you have to be very unselfish. Like I think you have to be unselfish, like with kids, with family. Um, if you're just a single dude out there and you don't really care and you're just having fun and you're kind of like you have a case of the fuckets, then whatever. But I mean, I still don't advise that, but like it's gonna happen. I mean, it happens with me sometimes. Um, where you'll go up this steep chute and then there's just this one section. It could be like a small 15, 18, 20 foot cliff, and you're just missing a couple holds where you have to like either jump or you have to brace and wedge and push. But if something gives or you go tumbling, like you're ragdolling all the way to the bottom, and you're either going to be miserably broken in a place where you have so many breaks that you're probably going to have punctured lungs and organs, and or you're just going to die. Like especially up in that high country stuff, like the really high stuff. Um, it goes from like class 3 to critical repel real fast. I mean, it's not, it's different. It's just, it's not the same as, the lower country. Cliffs, period, are cliffs, right? It doesn't matter what they are. It's always a cliff. But
Right.
um, like when you get rolling in that open stuff, I mean, I've had deer roll down that stuff and antlers are gone and like they're busted up to where you're like, gosh, what kind of meat am I going to salvage off of this thing? It's literally the whole thing looks like a giant hematoma, right? It's just kind of liquefied in a lot of areas.
Yeah.
And if that happened, like you're done. And so this year on the stock, as I was going up, I got to a junction at about 12.7 where um, I could gain another 400 feet, 400 to 500 feet, and I had to go up a pretty steep moraine, and then I can go across the cliff and drop another 300 feet and side hill around, and then go down a chute onto these bucks. But I couldn't work up below them, and I couldn't go in from kind of like the south because the wind was coming in, and below them they would see you. So I had to go around this cliff band and go up basically behind the mountain and come back around the mountain and down onto them. And it was a pretty technical stock. Um, but I'm like, I can get up this, I think. But then, I'd look behind me and there was 6 inches of fresh snow on the ground. And the snow made it to where the boots just, I had great boots, but the it was just a little slick. It's just a little bit slick to where you couldn't necessarily rely on the fact that what your boot was on was going to hold. Like you didn't know. And so like I think that those are the points in time where we all have to sit there and analyze, okay, like no, just back down and go up around and do it the right way. Like it's going to take you a little longer, but no deer's worth it. If you want to do this for another 25 years, well, this one could be your last kind of deal. And so the stock that I went on for this buck was in some nasty weather. a lot of snow up top, and it was really cool. Like I really enjoyed it a lot, but very technical. And so I enjoy the technical pieces because the reward after you put a good arrow in it and you're there in the moment and you're holding the antlers, it's a pretty cool feeling. It's like this I don't know, you feel like Tom Hanks on Castaway, and you got Winston and you're just out there by yourself like, I did this. Like it's a very raw, the emotions are super raw, and I like the exposure because the exposure is also very raw. Like a lot of things can happen up there real fast that change the trajectory of your life, and you have to make good decisions. So I enjoy it for all those reasons, I think.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's incredible. It's you got me excited, and listening to you talk about the elevation that you're at, and I'm sitting here telling myself like I gave myself a good effort. And I'm like, no, you got to get out there and put some more work in, because that it is it's such a challenge. And people that haven't tried archery, I mean, I've been on animals, and I so this year's the first time I've actually been like on animals. My first time I ever went out hunting, I got on one bull. He came just like stumbling in behind me, and just could I didn't call him in. I can't call for crap. Like I'm one of the guys that like I've listened to myself try and bull call, and I'm like, yeah, that's it's that I'm not that guy. But you get out there, and I that feeling that you're talking about, like when I saw that bull come in and he was at 30 yards and I'm drawing back on him, he was in scrub oak, so all I could see is from like the neck up. I'm just waiting for him to walk. There was an opening he was walking to, and man, it was like the most incredible feeling in the world. And then the breeze hit the back of my neck, and he turned and was like gone. And it
Mm.
was the last day of the hunt, the very first year I had ever been out. But like that is what hooked me. I was
Mm.
like, that is like the coolest feeling in the world. And this year I was up hunting a muley. I they had been in this canyon, and when I had gone back up, they weren't there. But I had a bull come blowing over this ridge and came down, and he was 10 feet from me.
Mm.
And I'm going, man, it would be nice to have a bull tag instead of a spike or a cow tag for this unit. Because I
Oh.
ranged him once at 30 yards, and I'm like, holy shit, he's going to keep walking right to me. And so I was kind of down. I was on this ridge, and I was down kind of in the bushes, like recording with my camera. And I'm like, well, I may as well capture this. And he comes walking up, and he turns. And then I'm like, well, I can't shoot anything. I kind of hold my phone up and stand up to record him. And I could almost like see, like in his mind, he's like, "You've got to be shitting me!" Because as he was walking up, his like tongue's hanging out, like he had been chased out of this other canyon. And he's like, "I," and then he turns and just starts working his way back down. But it's things like that. Like I can't imagine what it's going to be like once I finally arrow something and able to put my hand on some antlers and be like, "Yeah, I got it done." But I'll keep at it. I'll keep grinding. It's going to happen. And I
um
assume every time I go out, I'm just like, this is the day I'm getting it done one way or another.
yeah. I think that it'll be so emotional for you, Ryan. I'm it's still emotional for me to the point where not every time, but sometimes I still feel like crying. So when you watch the animal that you put an arrow in take its last breath, and you walk up on it and you see its eyes and its body, and you look at the impact, and are you a man of faith?
I am. Yep.
um the connection that you'll receive from that, you will be born again in different ways. um you'll have the utmost of pride in yourself. You'll have the utmost of like gratitude and humility, and but I guarantee you, like I hope for you that you cry. I hope for you that you cry, because that means you're reverent over the life that you took. But it is such an incredible accomplishment, and it is such a beautiful moment between you and that animal and God. And they're such gifts. And the fact that we get to like pile them on a plate with some potatoes and some greens is like next level cool. And that, we get, like, for example, like, like some antlers, we get to like keep, a bunch of those as almost tokens of like, I remember everything about that, from the angle to the wind to the sun to the birds or the atmosphere. It's a just such a beautiful interaction in nature, and I wish genuinely that all men had the opportunity to experience this. It's such a gift. So yeah, I look forward, actually, now that we have had the opportunity to talk and to convene and meet as a couple of men who just enjoy bow hunting. I genuinely look forward to hearing of your adventure and your journey in this. And I look forward to seeing your success. I pray that I pray right now in this moment that God gives you the opportunity to take one of these beautiful creatures on the extended, and that you're able to get it done.
We
It's
appreciate
pretty
that.
cool, man. So
I appreciate that. Yeah, I am a pretty emotional guy.
yeah.
So in the moment I can be, you know, you hear of guys that like their knees start buckling when you draw back. I only drew back on that one. I never had opportunity to let the arrow fly, but I was pretty calm. But you talk about how that changes you, and these creatures are gifts from God. That there was a time when that's how people fed their families. I mean, there's still people that's how they feed their families,
Mm-hmm.
is by taking these animals. And I think back, like when I read my scriptures, of all the times you read about the prophets going to the mountains, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what I feel that I come back changed every single time, even though I haven't even killed anything yet. Because I come back and I just have this, like, I look at this. I mean, Dustin and I were talking about it when we were out hunting 2 weeks ago. I'm like, can you believe, like, God created this for us?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we get to come up here, and I'm going, like, it makes me sad to think that, like, people will never get to experience that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
it makes me appreciative for the opportunities that I have. And that's why, I mean, I'll be honest, I come back when I don't harvest, punch a tag, I'm bummed, but I'm always grateful, and I'm just looking forward to the next time to getting out there. So anyway, well,
I
Marlon, I
look
really
forward to
go
seeing
ahead.
that. No, I look
Yeah.
forward to seeing that. Yeah, I want to know about your journey now.
I appreciate that. I'll keep you updated. I'll keep you updated for sure. Marlon, hey man, I really appreciate your time. I don't think I ever got an introduction in, so I'll go back and record one before I do the podcast. But if people want to find you on Instagram, it's Graylight Hunter is your handle. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So is there other places people go and find you?
Oh, I don't know, probably. But yeah,
Well, start at Graylight Hunter on
Gray Light Hunter
Instagram.
will get you there.
But yeah, so real quick, you talked about some of your businesses. Is there anything that you want to share with our audience if they want to look in? And I apologize, I've been drinking from a fire hose myself, so I normally do a little bit of research. But tell me about the businesses that you have that you're going on, and if there's something that people in the hunting industry could benefit from.
Um, I it's kind of interesting. I never really had much intention of um being known for anything in hunting, right? Like, it wasn't my intention to kind of like uh be somebody. I'm nobody. I'm just a guy that loves to hunt. So it's kind of interesting that, to me, that, like, so many people kind of follow along on that journey. It's humbling. I'm very appreciative. But as a result of killing stuff and being proficient with a bow, which is a strange thing to me, but people, ask me a ton of questions, like DMs, are always uh, chug full of messages every time I look at it, and it's kind of like a very very humble thing. But at the same time, my bandwidth is not always the greatest to be able to answer all those questions in a meaningful enough way for it to benefit the people who are asking the questions. So I developed an app. The app is pretty cool. It's the Gray Light app on iOS. You can get it on Google Play or on iOS for Apple.
I'll put a link to it in the
Um,
show notes as well for you.
yeah, but the app is pretty neat. It's kind of just I think that we can all learn from each other. I mean, I think I can learn from you. I think that's one of the most important things that I think a lot of guys lose sight of, right? They kill a few animals, their ego gets super, super big, and then they all of a sudden think that nobody can teach them anything. Um, I actually had a really long conversation with a good friend of mine, who I can now call a good friend, which is Randy Ulmer. Um, I had about an hour and a half long conversation with Randy just after this last hunt, actually last week. And we were kind of talking about that, always staying humble and green. And I want to say, like, he's probably one of the most humble and beautiful human beings I've ever met. He's such a great dude. And obviously, his achievements speak volumes, right? Like, there's no way that anything that I could do in hunting can hold a candle to like what this man's done in bow hunting. I mean, huge elk, huge mule deer, multitudes of them. Both you and I entered hunting in the wrong generation. Like we'll never see days when we can pursue animals of that caliber.
Mm,
That's kind of like a bygone era. Randy hit it perfect. I mean, he had the wisdom, the know-how, the time, the skill set, and he put it all to use and found some tremendous animals and got it done. And we were having a conversation about how we can always learn from people, about remaining humble and just working hard and letting the hard work kind of speak for itself. And so I think that one of the things that I decided to share with the world is do whatever I could to kind of help share my knowledge. Um, and that the best platform that I could think of to do that was an app, just simply because people could log in, they can get it for a month and log off and not use it, or use it when they want to. And it's kind of a neat resource to kind of like keep things fresh. And if they don't necessarily learn something that first time, that if they rewatch it or if they watch another segment or module, that they'll pick stuff up. And that's what I notice about hunting in general, is that it's always kind of like this evolution of adding to your toolbox. And the more you can learn and leverage, the sharper and more keen you become. And I think that by and large, the app's been a great place for people to kind of. I mean, almost every year now since I launched it, I get a couple of dozen kill shots, photos of guys with their kills archery
that's
hunting, and
awesome.
they're like, thank you so much. Like, this really helped, and I'm there for those people, right? I'm there for those people. There's also people who are like, I know this, I've known this since this isn't anything special. It's like, oh gosh, here we go. It's interesting to kind of get both sides of it, but by and large, people really, it has a great rating. In the App Store. People love it, and it's been pretty cool. I also have an art gallery in Laguna Beach. That doesn't necessarily help hunters, but I sell high-end fine art all around the world, to some pretty amazing collectors that honestly fuel my life and have made life pretty cool. So I like to go out into the wilds all around the world and capture beautiful light over these magical places. At marlonholden.com, you can kind of see some of it. And on IG, it's Marlon Holden too. And yeah, I just do the app, have the gallery. I do some other investments. I have investments that I have a lot of fun with, a little bit of raw land and some performing trading that I do, and then scaling out a clothing company, a technical apparel company right now is really hot on my list. I've had probably 2 dozen, probably more than 2 dozen calls now with investors, talking with them about jumping on board. And I'll tell you what, one of the toughest things about launching a company is deciding how big you want to go and how fast, and how much of it you're willing to part with. In my case, I'm not really willing to part with much of it. Not as much as people want for the money I'm asking, which I understand completely. So I'm probably gonna self-fund it and bootstrap it. So it's not gonna be huge from the beginning, but we're gonna make some really beautiful technical pieces. And I'm talking with all kinds of people right now with different composite manufacturers that have like cutting edge technology. It is a lot of fun interfacing with all the third parties to bring kind of everything together, and looking to create something really kind of innovative, special, and unique for mountain hunters. And my roots have always been Western mountain hunting. I think it'll be a really, really long time before I look at, waterfowl or whitetail or any of that stuff. But we're going to really focus on these guys that, like us, that are putting in some serious work on the mountain and want durable, really great and well thought out technical apparel. So that is a kind of the next endeavor that I'm going to pursue. As an artist and as a bow hunter, I've taken, I want to say about a little over 90 days to think out and design a camouflage pattern that is non-AI, non-generative. Technology was not used in developing it. It came straight from my brain and the ideas that I've had. There's a part of it that's going to work on ungulates, and then there's a part of it that's going to be like, hey, this looks cool, I want to wear it. So there's two components to it, where it's going to be functional yet it'll look good. And as an artist, I developed that, and I'm working hard on it. We've got my attorney right now. He's working on all the copywriting and trademarks and all that good stuff. And we're going to be releasing something fun here. I mean, I have no idea what it's going to look like, but I promise that I'm going to pour my heart into it and make it the best that that technology offers right now. So that's kind of the new endeavor. I'm going to finish out this hunt season. I have some really fun stuff that's going to come up here in the next couple of months. Some guys that we're going to hunt with, and some things we're going to do that'll be a lot of fun. You guys will see that soon on the Gray Light page. But yeah, just having a ball with all of it, my man.
That's exciting, man. Well, I wish you the best luck. You'll definitely have to keep us posted over here when you get ready to launch, and we'll do our little part. We're just a small little podcast, but we're growing. We are the fastest growing hunting podcast in the nation. I appreciate you coming on. Again, you guys, if you've enjoyed this and you've learned something, you feel that there's something that can make you a better hunter or a friend a better hunter, please share it. You can follow us at Hunt Stealth. And again, if you're trying to find the podcast, it's on YouTube and anywhere you listen to podcasts. We are the Hunt Stealth Podcast. And everyone stay safe and God bless.